Lord over there.
I like to sing my way through life.
All righty. There you go.
Hey, everybody. It's Carter on the drum. And me, teZa, on the lip. Always giving the lip.
Giving the lip.
Yeah, so
There you
hope
go.
everybody's feeling beautiful. We just had winter solstice. And that's the time when Carter and I, since we've been married all these 34,000 years, have done our goals. And not resolutions, but, just going deep within and seeing what we want to accomplish in this next year. And we actually do like a 5-year kind of vision. And sometimes we do a 10-year vision.
My first goal is to cash in my $1 billion Powerball ticket. I can sure use that billion.
That's a goal, or that's a wish. That's a wish. That's not a goal.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, he's all about money. We're still coughing up crap from our sickness. Sorry,
2
folks.
weeks.
Yeah, we had a bad thing over Thanksgiving, and both of us were like, "Wow, okay, we are both pushing 80. You all know that, but we're very wise, and our bodies are suffering. I'm just healing from a cracked rib from doing a yoga pose, and then a neck sprain of all things, doing yoga. I mean, it's vigorous stuff, but I try to temper it. And Carter's also suffering from doing a little too much tennis.
Some kind of a quad tear. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the
But we're healing.
organ recital.
No. It's important for people to know that, there are things with the physical, mental, and spiritual that we pay attention to.
That's part of what happens when you get older is we get these things.
No,
And so
even
everybody-
younger. You have to pay attention that you have a physical, you have a mental, and you have a spiritual. It's part of keeping everything balanced. And that is segueing into our topic today of whether you use the word happiness or contentment or success.
Happiness.
What is the best way to think about balancing your life so that you feel okay? You just feel okay. Not disturbed,
Well-
not hilariously happy, but, in yoga they call that equanimity.
you can be hilarious.
Wait.
Be
No,
hilariously happy.
in the yoga world, you're not in the yoga world, Carter, so I'm just going to put a little pitch in here. In the yoga world, and I've worked with what I would call a meditation master to really get this, but the object, whether you're talking about Buddhism, they say the middle way, but Buddha was a yogi, so it does come from the yogic philosophy of equanimity is kind of the goal in life. Equanimity means to see the divine everywhere, to see God everywhere.
Okay, that's fine, but that's not the subject. The subject is
no,
happiness.
that's happiness. Carter, in the yoga world, happiness is equanimity.
Well, see, this is a perfect example of how complicated the whole idea of happiness is because it's all over and it's unclear. So I think the thing
And that's
to
why
do
this
is to,
podcast is so
is to
great because
address-
you and I have polar ideas.
we can
sometimes.
address the subject of happiness and how to be happy. And it's
Yes.
right in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence where we're, every person
right.
has the
It's our
right to
human
life,
right.
liberty, and the
Right.
pursuit
Right.
of happiness.
Okay, so the best way to approach this is you go first and you give your idea, and then because we're not, we have different approaches in life. You're Gemini, I'm Sag, you're man, I'm woman.
Well, happiness, and happiness is, we all have talked about happiness from day one, and for being happy is used all the time in many situations, and it is a tricky word because it's hard to pin down exactly what it is. And I think that I read something recently from a deeply profound, interesting guy who's very kind of spiritually oriented. That
Mark Thurston, right?
Mark Thurston. And happiness. There's 4 aspects of happiness, and there's a lot of aspects of happiness. But the first one is that it's an inward thing. Like happiness is not something that happens to you from the outside, like winning the lottery or winning a football game or being really successful with your salary at work or whatever. Happiness is something that is an inside job where you come to some feeling inside that is grown, and that is created by the way you think and the choices that you make.
Right on.
And you can choose. You can choose to look at a terrible situation in a way that you can be, quote, happy about it, and it's an inside job. And
Well, wait a minute, just one question. Okay, just right there, happy doesn't apply to something like the Ukraine or Gaza. I mean, we're looking at a bad situation and we can't feel happy about that, but we can accept that it is happening and that we don't have much power to change things. So that's more or less like accepting, right? To accept that, yes, sometimes bad things happen. That's not really about happiness. So, another
well,
word.
I'm not happy about the war in Ukraine, but
No.
but if I was a participant and I was fighting, then it would be possible, I think. Well, this is a semantics thing.
Yeah,
but
it's- I
you
think
could
it
be
just-
possible to be in the war and being happy that you were not happy about the situation of the bullets coming at you, but you could be happy that you were protecting your homeland. I mean, you could find ways of looking at the situation that would bring you something that is really more like contentment and acceptance, which is the last of the first part is that it's internal, and it's the second part is that it's a choose, that you choose what you choose to be happy, quote unquote. It's a frame of mind. It's something that you choose. It's not something that happens to you. And then there's
So you agree, though, that the word content is more appropriate for some instances. And I mean, happiness is not like this blanket thing that covers all situations.
no, but these four
in all
things
ways.
are good. And
Okay,
the
we got
third,
two.
The
We got
third
two of
part
them.
is
We got two of them.
that in order
it's
to
an inward thing,
yeah,
and then it's you choose it, and then what's the third one?
and then it has to be something that you believe yourself. You have to be true to yourself. Like, for instance, you can't be happy by doing something that you think is going to make someone else happy,
Or
like
somebody
your
telling you,
parents
"You
or
should be
your
happy
wife
about
or
this,"
your
right.
husband
Right.
or whatever. It has to come from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing is that it is accepting a situation and being content with it, as opposed to being satisfied with it. Satisfied, if you're satisfied with a situation, that means you've just kind of accepted it, and you're not necessarily happy about it, but you're satisfied that that's the best you can do. But contentment is a different way of feeling about it, and that is that you just accept that it's not what you necessarily would have chosen, but you are content that this is the way the universe is playing out, and you're accepting it in a way that is going to allow you to be happy about it, quote
Right.
unquote. So that's I thought that was an interesting exposition about it, and since we're all chasing it, that it's nice to visit it all the time and be thinking about it, because we're all looking to be happy.
Okay, so my turn?
Yes.
Okay, so I love the concept of contentment. It's called santosha in the yogic philosophy. It's not a religion. Yoga is not a religion, and it's not just like, a strength modality, or, like you go to a gym and you do a yoga class, but there's a deeper philosophy that it's based upon. And contentment is one of the main principles of when you are a yogi and when you study the scriptures. It's upon us as human beings who are, involved in trying to understand this life, and we do it through things like studying scriptures. Carter is really a Bible guy, and I'm more of an Eastern mystic person. You know that if you've been coming to see Lord. So contentment is almost like a necessary prescription to have a satisfying life. And yes, there can be happiness there too, but like Carter was saying, it was one of the elements in his 4 points that, but to me, contentment is more important than happiness. Because happiness comes and happiness goes, and sadness comes and sadness goes, and those are kind of extremes. But contentment, I mean, I can feel content even about a bad situation, like I'm injured right now. And I know that, okay, I just have to be more cautious. I have to like bring the intensity down of what I do with my physical stuff. And I'm content in the fact that I had a lesson to be learned.
And it implies acceptance. It implies acceptance of what you're dealing with and accepting that that's what's going on right now, and this is what the Lord has for you, and this is what you're going to be content with and accept
Right.
what it is, and not be pissed off about it, not be angry. Like I could be angry that my leg is hurt, but that's a counterproductive.
Right.
It's counterproductive, and I'm not choosing not to do that. I just have to choose.
Well, you've had waves. We all have waves, where we have these emotions come over us, and then we look at our feelings and we say, oh, wow, why am I feeling so angry about something that I did to myself? It's not like we had a car crash and we're recovering from somebody, ramming us on the road. Both of us have injuries because of things that we have done to ourselves, like going to extremes. Like
it's not just about that. It's also about accepting if you got in an accident and you got crippled, and then it's just like Cheryl and an unbelievable reality of her acceptance of her situation. I'm sure it's not perfect every day.
Okay, most
but
people
her
don't know who
wait
Cheryl
a second.
is.
Her manifestation of this.
Say who Cheryl is.
She was went in. She's been living in a wheelchair situation and unable to move very well for a long number of years.
30 years.
After going into an operation to have her back fixed, and some sort of mistake was made and something was severed, and the result is that her back is 100 times worse than it ever was, and she's stuck in a wheelchair. But she's had to accept this, and she is one of the happiest people I know. It's just extraordinary. She's so full of joy and love and kindness, and I'm sure it's not perfect. I know it's not perfect all the time.
In private, she probably has her dark moments.
Sure, like all of us.
We all do.
But her ability to accept this and find contentment in her life is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And it's totally in her mind and the way she has accepted it. And it's a great lesson. She's always complaining that people say that I'm an inspiration to them. I'm not an inspiration. It's the pain in the neck what I'm dealing with. But it is an inspiration to us who are griping and whining about, not having having skim milk instead of whole milk or something dumb like that. And here she is dealing with this totally encompassing thing, and she's managing contentment on a level that few people I know do.
It's always good to find our heroes, our heroines, our role models, that make our lives seem better, because they're either showing us the way or their situation is so much worse. So we have gratitude, and I'd just like to speak for a minute about, I feel like calling him my friend, although I never met him, but Jim Doty, who really, really influenced me years ago when I read his first book, Into the Magic Shop. And if nobody knows about this book, please do read it. It's an incredible story about manifesting what you want in life. And of course, everybody wants to be happy. So sometimes you have to work at manifesting it. You have to choose, like Carter said. And so recently, Jim died, and he's way younger than I am. And he had an operation, just like our friend Cheryl, and things went bad. And he himself is a neurosurgeon, so it's just so sad and ironic that, he was affiliated with Stanford University, top-notch care, top-notch surgeons and everything, but things went bad, and he was in the ICU for months, and then he just succumbed to whatever was happening. They haven't really revealed the details, but I've just been thinking since his passing about, the irony of life. Like, why me? Why am I still alive and somebody else, somebody gets crippled or somebody gets paralyzed or somebody dies? Like, why do we have this great gift of life and other people lose it so early in life? And who knows, a lot of it is just the flip of the coin, right? The toss of the roulette wheel. But a lot of it is also the choices that we make, starting with our bodies and then our minds and our spirits. I mean, we all are confronted with so many choices every day. And a lot of them end up to being like who we are and what we are and how we feel and, whether we feel content with our lives and satisfied with what's happening and not just have this itch. I used to have an itch. I used to have this terrible itch. That's what I call it when I write about it in my books. And nothing satisfied that itch until I realized, like Carter first said, the number one point about Mark Thurston pointing out about how to be happy, it's an inside job.
That's right.
And I was moving all around and changing this and changing that and looking here and looking there and under every rock. And it wasn't until I discovered that it's an inside job that I said, wow, I've got a shot at this happiness stuff.
You had to accept the itch and accept it and be okay with it rather than have it just drive you to craziness, which is what happens to most of us young people. When you're young, it's harder to know. It's not until you get a little older that you get a little bit of water under the bridge there, and you start to understand how things work better. But it's easy to have, it's easy to be driven, and it's definitely something that we all have to get control of. And as regards Jim Doty dying younger than you, and I think that this points up again the fact. My position is that easy to say, of course, because I'm here, but death is not a big thing, and we're all eternal. And he just went on to the next level, and he's going on and doing his thing, and he's continuing right along. He's just not in this particular physical sphere at the moment.
Yes.
And you are here for whatever reason. It may just be the luck of the draw, or it may be that the Lord has more in store for you, and the Lord is actually taking people when their time has come. Because you hear that a lot when people have had these near-death experiences. Mm-hmm. They go over there,
your time
and then somebody says, "This isn't your time," so back they come.
Yeah.
That happens almost every time. So maybe there is a time. Who knows? We don't really know. But
right.
But if it's true that death is, that we're all, this is just a continuum, then death is a lot smaller than any of us realize. The people that really get hurt the most by death are the people that are left behind.
Right. Carter, all I was saying was I'm mourning him, even though I've never met him. I was so affected by his beautiful book, Into the Magic Shop, and I'm just finishing his last book, Mind Magic, right now. And he was a very instrumental person in me understanding the importance of compassion. And he works very closely with Karen Armstrong's Charter for Compassion, which has been a big push on my part. Instead of being a political person, I believe that being aware of compassion and how we can manifest that in this world. And it's an international movement. So if anybody wants to know about that, go to charterforcompassion.org and make a commitment to being a compassionate person, really thinking about it and embracing it as the most important thing. And all leaders of the great religions and all the religions in the world came together to form this Charter for Compassion when Karen Armstrong won the TED Prize, and that's what she wanted to do with her. I think it's $100,000 or something that you win back in the day, and that's what she did with her prize money. I mean, what we choose to do with either our life energy or the financial funds that we have, and, with the friends that we choose, the type of music or movies that we look at, they all add up to either being content with life or malcontent with life. I mean, I certainly know a lot of malcontents. Seems like there's more than ever out there, a lot of people whining about the situation in the world.
Yeah, and also the whole content thing. You don't want to be content to the point where you don't do anything. But you just want to be content. In my view, the happiness is a function of the contentment, that you're feeling content the way things are going as you go along the way. But that doesn't mean you don't have ambition and you don't have a lot of drive, and because a lot of the thing that makes things happen in the world is that people have drive and energy and want to get something done, and they're working on something. Mm-hmm. But the way you travel is the happiness part, and so it's much more fun, in my experience, to travel in a happy way and still be driving hard than it is to be so overwhelmed that you're just burning stomach acid all the time. Mm-hmm. You're pushing along and you're not having any fun doing it.
So I'm curious, Carter.
That's what it means, the pursuit of happiness.
I want to ask you a question that for my own benefit, but also for anybody who's listening, because I really value your opinion. So a lot of people I meet these days, they're very sad or mad or in fear. There's a lot of negative emotions going on, I believe, because of political instability, and the energy coming out of leadership is confusing, and people feel very strongly. Of course, it's a bipartisan way of looking at life, but we, in our marriage, I'm not a political person. You are more attuned to that. I mean, I know what I say to my friends who are very distressed, and I always bring it down to, we don't know the whole picture. We are having a human experience here, but we are spiritual souls. And so how can we possibly know the outcome of what we are in right this moment? But what would you say to like a friend of yours who starts off saying, I just feel really mad. The environment doesn't seem to be getting enough attention. And
I think it's okay to have your opinion and to be upset and even to be angry about things. But if you're living your life in anger and kind of thinking that you want to force your will upon the rest of the world, my take on it is that if I get into that frame of mind, I'm taking myself too seriously. I'm way too selfish, and I'm not looking at the big universal picture that is way beyond anything that I can have any control over. I can have some kind of control, and I can work towards it, and I can be passionate about it. But if I don't want to if I don't want to live in misery or fear, then I need to also recognize I'm the most important thing there is in the world, and I'm also the least important thing at the world at the same time. Mm-hmm. And there's got to be an understanding that we are nothing, that we are just a tiny
grain
drop.
Of sand.
And we also, in this country, I think, and I'm sure it's true in every country too, because everybody wants to have the freedom of will. But in this country, we have stark divisions these days, and I think we have had since the beginning of our revolution, stark differences of opinions of how to get stuff done. I think we all kind of want the same thing, which is a stable life where we're not getting murdered, and a way to make a reasonable living and raise our families and have freedom of religion and freedom of choice. But the way of going about doing that is where we disagree. But if I and I have strong feelings about it, and my friends have the opposite feelings, just as strong.
Yeah, you have many friends who you
Just
have a lot
as
of these
strong on the other
these
side.
controversies.
And so, but what I need to do myself, unless I want to just be miserable,
No.
and spend my life in a Tums bottle, I have to.
Tums bottle.
Yeah, I have to recognize these are my countrymen, these are my neighbors, these are my friends, these are my countrymen, and they have a right to the way they think. And if I don't agree with them, then I need to be smart and be able to present my point of view in a way that might help them understand, and maybe they'll change their attitude, or maybe they'll present it to me in a way that I understand, and I'll change my attitude. I need to be open also. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing is not something to be angry or fearful about. It's the play of the world. It's the play of the consciousness, as they would say in the yoga world. It's just the play.
And also, it's the swing
things.
of the pendulum, because everything is in constant flux. Everything changes, except, having a connection with higher power, the divine in life.
But the one thing I'm not to do is hate other people, or to be viciously judging and be angry and not loving them. Above all things is to put other people ahead of you, and just like Jesus says, and the Bible says that when they say that when Jesus said, "Oh well, you didn't take care of me when I was sick," he said, "Well, what do you mean? I would, if I'd have known it was you, I'd have taken care of you." And he says, "Yeah, well, as you did it to the least person, the least beggar, the least, you did it to me." And that's the ultimate truth. And that's the other thing that I believe we're here to understand in this world is that at the end of the day, the whole happiness thing is to be accepting that the Lord is in charge, and that we're all part of this one thing, and that we just need to be accepting about. I need to be accepting about that, and when I can accept it, whatever it is, then I can have the ultimate bliss and happiness, because happiness is bliss, being in complete at one-ment, and being rather than necessarily becoming. It's that whole Eckhart Tolle thing, and the whole be here now thing.
Right.
Is when we are and we can be, then we are content, and we are just being.
When we're in the
like
moment.
An animal is being.
Yeah. Right. Well, I totally agree with all that. That's for sure. No problem there. But a lot of people, excuse me, they don't understand that it's a choice thing. They'll say, "Oh, but this and that and that and this is happening.
This is happening.
And it's out there." And I know that my life turned around when I realized that everything is a choice. Everything. And, if we don't like the way we're feeling, we can choose it, to change it. We can do things to change our mental attitudes and change our minds. And there's a lot of talk these days about how to do that, too, because there are a lot of malcontents. There's a whole revival of the psychedelics, for instance. But more importantly, there's people like Jim Doty who taught people how to actually manifest. And it's meditation. It's going into that quiet space within, and doing a little bit of housework about what's going on inside there. What is holding us back in our minds? I did a little bit of exercise with this new book that he wrote just before he died, Mind Magic. And, he starts off by saying, what are your real beliefs about yourself? Because you have to look at those. And for me, it was like, oh my God. When getting really honest, all I could hear was my parents' voice in there saying, "You're a bad girl."
Yeah, and also
that's the only thing I
bad
could,
self-talk.
all that bad self-talk, that's in there still. So to get really honest and to say that, okay, how can you be happy if you've got an inner voice telling you that you're a loser, you can't do it, what makes you think you can do that? That kind of stuff that a lot of times it has to be scrubbed out because it was put down as an impression either by a well-meaning parent. I mean, nobody does that on purpose, but people don't realize how strong words are. Or sometimes we just get born with it,
Well, it's selfishness.
Well, wait, let me finish. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes about some lingering inner deficiency, whether it's sadness or fear or anger. Sometimes, because that's happened to me too, when I've been eradicating the last little bit of fear that I was carrying around in life. And I discovered it wasn't from anything that was happening on the outside of my life. It was some inner thing. And that's why I love the yogic philosophy so much, because it explains that. And we do have different experiences on this planet. We believe in reincarnation. And sometimes a soul comes in with something left over from a previous life. And it's up to us to recognize that, I've got some work to do. I've got to get
Choose
rid of
to overcome it. And
Yeah.
I think almost always when we're just feeling bad, it's a function of our selfishness, because we're just taking ourselves too seriously and not opening up to the giant big picture. Because at the end of the day, it's about other people, not ourselves. And any time that we're angry and feeling self-righteously abused, it's just taking ourselves too serious, and it's wallowing in that selfish thing. And that's really what the ultimate exercise is in this life. And you can see it beginning with 1-year-old kids. They start grabbing stuff, and it's theirs. And right off the bat, they're programmed to be selfish.
Me.
And then life is about learning to be our brother's keeper and to be working for others. And that's what Jesus was all about, was about other people. That's what the whole teaching is about. It's not about, it's about, we don't need to get into that, but that whole teaching is about being loving our neighbor, loving our enemy, doing something good for the other guy. And every single time you feel crappy, if I can replace my crappy feeling with thinking about what can I do that's nice for somebody else, immediately
Right. So
it goes away.
What you're talking about is awareness. I mean, sometimes people feel crappy and they don't bother to take the time just to reflect, to do a little, that inner housekeeping
It's
stuff.
almost always taking ourselves too seriously.
But we want to change our thinking. We don't want to just say, there it is again, and go on our merry way. Oh, there it is. No, it's really within our power, our inner power, to change the way we think, to modify a thought that's negative and self-abusive, and to change that by repeating. I am a good girl. I am a good person. This is an incredible experience called life, by repeating things. And that takes awareness. So we talk often about awareness, acceptance, action. I mean, to change something, whether it's a thought, a self-thought about our own selves, we have to have the awareness that we have it.
Yeah, and so in wrapping up, if we're going to wrap up, one way,
I'm ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, so that happiness, the good news is that happiness is totally in our power.
It's a choice
and we can
thing.
be happy anytime we choose, if we just choose and realize it's all coming from ourselves, and it's an inside job, and it's all about the way we think. And it's been proven that if my thinking is about somebody else other than myself, or something bigger than myself, immediately whatever anger and kind of self-righteous feeling I had is diminished gigantically. And I just try it. I mean, I've tried it, and it works. And the whole thing is about accepting what the universe has for you, recognizing my little small part in it, and realizing that I'm the most important thing in the universe and I'm the least important thing at the same time.
That's great.
It's a great
I love that.
way to approach the day, is to realize that we're nothing and everything.
Right, and it's an
And
antidote.
that's the way God loves us.
It's an antidote to feeling bad, to just get out of ourselves and go just help somebody else. Just smile at strangers, or go into an old folks' home and volunteer to read, or go just do something for somebody else. And during this time, the season of light that we celebrate every year, during the darkness of the winter and the winter solstice we just celebrated the other day, and Christmas and Hanukkah and all these other things that are about light, bringing light into our life. Those are choices.
Yeah,
that we make.
and know that if you're being kind, it's always right. And if you're being mean and ugly and hateful, it's always wrong.
It's always wrong.
You're wrong every
Right.
single time you hate something, or you hate somebody, or you do something nasty.
Right.
You're wrong every single time. So, and you don't have to be a genius to figure that out. But you may want to do it. It may feel good. You may want to get revenge, but it's wrong every single time.
I'd like also just to say, it's really important to hang out with people who have different opinions than you do, because you will just stay stuck in whatever it is that's upsetting you.
If you stay in your tribe all the time.
If all your friends are just sitting there shaking their head every time you start moaning about what's going on, and we had an incident happen recently where somebody really jangled our nerves. It was in a very public scenario, and it was so. Carter wrote a letter to this person who was making some very strong opinions in a situation that was not necessary to do that, and the person wrote back and said, "Well, gee, I just don't know anybody like you. I don't know any conservatives," and how sad that people don't make more of an effort to have, some friends who are very different than they are.
It's tribal.
It's tribal.
It's
It's a
tribal. And
tribal
one of the
thing.
great things about this age we're living in is that we're realizing that this whole tribal thing is bullshit, and it promotes separation. And while it's good to be ethnically accepting of all others and to be, but embracing everybody else's tribe, being limitedly stuck in your own tribe and judging those who are not in your tribe, that's been going on since the beginning of time, and that is proven in this age to be wrong.
Right.
And so we're getting better. We're getting better all the time. The world is bettering, and we're smaller, and we're embracing each other. We're reaching across all the different aisles. And that's what we're supposed to do, that is watching out for the other guy.
I'm just finishing up my 6th book, but my first book
Even
was...
though it's not that much fun all the time.
My first book was a visionary manifesto called We Are One. And I stand by that we are all one, but yet all our differences are just like different facets on a crystal. But we are all made from light, and we are all have this essence connected to the whole cosmos. And one important thing came out by being a writer, and I truly believe this is the theme of my life, and maybe you would like to embrace it too, but love is the weapon of mass illumination. Love, just unconditional love, acceptance, is so important. And it seems so simple, but for many people it's very difficult when they get into judging sides.
And you have to, in order to do that, you got to be open to the other guy, and
being open is important.
I would even say that if you're so, happiness and contentment is a function of acceptance,
How
of
open you
acceptance
are.
of how things are, and
And
so
how open you
if
are in
I
your mind and your
am not
heart.
happy, then I'm doing something wrong. So happiness is not some elusive thing. It's the end result of good thinking and thinking about other people and accepting your circumstance and looking at it in a big way, in a universal way from the universe, and recognizing our smallness, and at the same time wanting to be our individual self. And so if I'm not happy, I'm doing something wrong.
And
I'm coming to understand that.
And if a person
just
wants
now.
to be happy, they just have to do a little work. They can't just say, "Oh well, I've got reasons to be pissed or
It's kind of like my brother says.
or sad or whatever." You can identify what is making you unhappy and just eradicate it. Put in a substitute.
One of the things I said the other day is my wife Tez is doing everything I say now, and she's much happier.
Oh yeah. I am. All right, everybody. We
kids.
love you.
See you later.
Nobody's told you yet today, I love you. Carter always laughs, but I really do. I love each and every one of you.
Okay.
Beings of
Onward
light.
we go. God bless.
We are one. Om Namah Shivaya.
Be happy out there. It's in your power. It's in my power. In a minute.